After a two-day test at Oschersleben and a day of practice and qualifying already for the Northern Talent Cup class of 2021, the time has come to swap testing and practice for racing as the first round of the Cup's second season appears on the horizon. Le Mans is the venue for the NTC races alongside MotoGP for this season opener. It's an all-new track for everyone in NTC trim, and it will put the grid through their paces on braking and acceleration, all on one of the biggest stages of the season. This is where the road to MotoGP begins for many of these youngsters hailing from the northern, central and eastern territories of Europe. Who will reign supreme? The journey begins right here. Well, hello there and welcome to Le Mans in France. It's round one of the Northern Talent Cup for 2021. It's sophomore season. And guess what? It's a lad called Rossi Moore on pole position as we get underway today. Conditions on track are distinctly wet, but look at those beautiful blue skies and rather strong winds that we have above us here at Le Mans. We've just had the Electric Series Moto E out on track here at the Grand Prix, and they rode in the most wet conditions any class has had here so far this weekend. So what will that do for our youngsters here in the Northern Talent Cup? They will have two sighting laps to get used to the conditions because they've not ridden in conditions this wet pretty much so far this weekend. My name is Matt Dunn. Alongside me as ever for these Talent Cup programmes, I have Fran Wild here, and we are already looking at the grid with riders pretty much getting ready to go racing. And Fran, that right there is the rookie sensation that we have. The Hungarian, well, with Hungarian parents, USA-born Rossi Moore. Any guesses as to who his parents might idolise?
Well, it's hard to tell, isn't it? But yes, good afternoon, everyone. Rossi, he is so named because of the... Yes, 9-time world champion Valentino Rossi.
You're kidding.
I know, there's a few kids as well in the British Talent Cup. It's really nice to see that influence now from the doctor kind of filtering down, even with parents, naming their kids after them. And it looks like he's chosen a good career because since he stepped into NTC Leathers, he's been very, very impressive. Didn't quite have the same domination yesterday as we'd seen in the test in Oschersleben, but in qualifying he managed to pull a little bit out of the bag again and just extend that gap a little bit. But the front runners from last year especially have managed to close down on him a little bit.
Yes, I do wonder whether the man in second place, well, the young lad in second place I should probably say, Lorenzo Luciano, well, do you reckon his name's a bit inspired by Jorge Lorenzo perhaps? I mean, could be.
I think that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, a bit of a stretch.
I
bit
think
of a
if
stretch
you
for the Belgian.
Lawrence,
as
you're meant
Why
to
not just add the O? Yeah. But the Belgian rider, second in the Cup last year, Dessoma Gorbe, who now races in the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup, as does former riders in the Northern Talent Cup, Freddie Heinrich and Jakob Rosenthaler, the Austrian. This is just to show that this is where these guys can go. This is what's on the line here. This is why these races matters. This is the first step on that road to MotoGP ladder. The next step would be something like the Red Bull Rookies, and who knows where they go from there. I can't wait for this one. But this is the first time we've done actually a live broadcast of this. It has been shown live previously last year, but not in the capacity with you and I at Grand Prix races, Fran.
Yeah, this is the first time they're here alongside us in the Grand Prix paddock, which is pretty exciting. Obviously, last season, a very, very difficult season for pretty much all motorsport. And the NTC was very much included, yes, of course, on top of the general challenges in quote-unquote normal life. But now we are, yes, back where we are meant to belong, alongside MotoGP for a few rounds this year, this being the first. So, yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting, proper glimpse of these guys after that test at Oschersleben. And as you can see at the bottom of your screens, we do have one penalty in round one for Tibor Varga, who was speeding in the pit lane during qualifying. So he's got a two-position grid penalty. Nothing too much, but certainly enough to, you know, make it clear, don't do that.
Yeah, down from row 4 to row 5 for Tibor Varga. That moves the German rider Dustin Schneider, the number 20, up into P12. And although you did actually mention to me, Fran, I mean, you're the expert in this box and all the Talent Cup, have done all the press over the last year. Tibor Varga could be one to watch coming through because, you know, whilst the qualifying been a bit of an issue, is able to come through the pack as they did in Lausitzring last year.
Yeah, last year he managed to make some really, really good progress and move through from, again, nothing special in qualifying. I think he was 10th, we said earlier, didn't we, when we were discussing this. and did manage to move up to at least get sort of on the fringes of that podium fight. So don't count him out necessarily. Obviously, one lap wonder's not quite his speciality, but is one of the guys on the grid with a little more experience certainly in the top 6.
Worth noting as well, if you are new to Talent Cup series and this and that, this much like the Asia Talent Cup, the European Talent Cup, the British Talent Cup, all part of these Talent Cups on the Road to MotoGP program. However, all these riders are in their own individual teams, but these bikes are all the same. That is the crucial aspect. These ones, though, unlike, for example, the Asia Talent Cup or European Talent Cup, British Talent Cup, these are KTMs. Yes,
these are KTMs. There's a couple of differences. So this is more kind of like the ETC, if you watch that as part of the FIMSEV Repsol, or however you'd like to pronounce that based on your mother tongue, where yes, they are individual teams, much as the Honda British Talent Cup is now, but like you say, it's all KTM machinery on the Northern Talent Cup grid. So yeah, a few differences, but the goal is the same, is to create sort of cost-effective, equal bases for competition, so that we can really see these guys shine for their riding talent.
And it's not necessarily just all about the riders who finish first, second and third in the championship, who can then move up the ladder on the Road to MotoGP program as well. As we mentioned, well, the man in second place on the grid today, Lorenz Luciano, actually finished the Cup in second last year. Jakub Górecki finished fourth last year. He's third on the grid for today, returning once again. And then just behind him in the standings from last year as well, Jacopo Hosciuk, for the Romanian rider, actually heads the second row of the grid, as you can see there. So it's as with the Asia Talent Cup program, British Talent Cup program, it's not just about the winners, it's about the riders who seem to be the whole package that get to move up, or others just stay another year and develop your skills.
Yeah, definitely. Last year, Dorna's pick to move up was actually Freddie Heinrich, who was third overall, but it had looked in the first few rounds that he did have the measure of the competition until unfortunately he broke his arm, I think it was, just before the final 2 races of the season, so he was classified third overall. Does tell you maybe how competitive he had been before that he was still third overall despite missing what was actually a quarter of the season.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it is pretty different as well when you see these guys in different trims. So Sommergorber and yeah, Heinrich and Rosenthaler, those guys all moving into the rookies, as well as various other kind of racing competitions. But today is the first race of a new Road to a New Cup winner. And that guy there will be feeling pretty confident, I think, after pre-season and qualifying in here at Le Mans.
Yeah, I would certainly agree. Not been quite so easy in the free practice combined times and qualifying. I mean, whilst he's been pretty much ahead above the rest in the pre-season testing campaign, it's been a matter of a couple of tenths since we've been here in Le Mans. So we could have a pretty good race on our hands between. I'm looking at, well, we've been discussing this before coming in. I think the riders on the first 2 rows could be the ones to be looking out for podium and potential race-winning positions.
I would agree with that, yeah. When I received the first results sheet from the first day of the NTC test at Oschersleben, I was like, oh no. But here it looks like the pack have closed in a little bit on Rossi Moore, although he's nevertheless still very, very impressive. But yeah, as well, remember, race distance and racing and, you know, a long few laps of Le Mans in quite tricky conditions, that's a very, very different ask to set in a quick lap by yourself.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We'll have to see that experience.
Especially in the wet.
Yeah, exactly. The experience of those guys who have already raced in the NTC last year may shine through a bit, although Moore has winning experience too on mini bikes in Europe and stateside. So yeah, definitely not shy of racing experience, but not in the Northern Talent Cup yet. So I'm very eager to see how this goes and what the conditions do.
Yes, how will these young riders cope with the various pressure on their shoulders, performing on the biggest stage they've ever performed on thus yet? The likes of Valentino Rossi, watching them on, one of their namesakes no less. I mean, how excellent is that? We did actually have one of the young riders, Kimi Gunderman, for the Swiss rider, get to actually meet Valentino on the Thursday as well, and some of these riders even got to ask questions in the pre-event press conference. So just almost, I imagine them just walking around the whole paddock just wide-eyed, everything going on, just starry-eyed completely. This is where you could be in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And after we did have a bit of a calendar change for round 1 and it was here, it's quite a stage to begin the year on here at Le Mans. But yeah, so far they don't look too phased, at least on track. But yeah, some great experiences for these guys as well so far, like you mentioned. Not just on track, but also with riders and heroes and enjoying the paddock a little bit.
Yeah, Absolutely right. So the riders coming around then to finish their warm-up lap. They've had the 2 sighting laps to get used to the conditions. They just get the 1 warm-up lap. So lining up onto the grid, they will come, take their places, and we'll be going racing very, very shortly. So we'll give you a quick rundown then. Rossi Moore takes off from pole position. Lorenz Luciano from 2nd place. Jakub Górecki 3rd. Jakopo Hoszczuk in 4th from Jonas Kaczmarek, as I just keep trying. This is actually harder to pronounce than some of the Age of Talent Cup lads, so we have admitted this. So I've really tried to do it with the mother tongue as well. Cass Beekman's taken off from 6th position as well. Those guys already lined up on the grid, ready to take off. The other thing I love about these bikes is the very clear numbers on the front of them as well.
Yeah,
isn't it?
It's a lot
beautiful.
easier than some series, for sure.
Red Bull rookies.
And Hoszczuk especially, that white bike is super easy to spot, which we love.
So, well, the man with the red flag at the start of the grid will depart. The green flag will wave at the back. The red lights will come on, and we'll be racing to begin the road to MotoGP once more. Who will get the whole shot as the lights come on? And they go out, and we're racing in the Northern Talent Cup for 2021. A great start from Rossi Moore there from pole position. He will get the jump, it looks like. And who's that? The number 48 just alongside them. That's Lennox Famara coming through, the Swiss rider. But who will be leading in towards turn 3? Because this is already through turns 1 and 2. All safely through. Who's that coming up the inside there? Because that's a heck of a move. The number 56. It's Jonas Kaczmarek. Oh, and it's Rossi Moore down already. Oh, that is a disaster start to the man who's just been leading it all. As
really is.
Oh my goodness, and he's dropped it again.
So many incidents there. Hopefully then he'll be able to rejoin. We've got a long way to go. You never know where he'll be able to get to. But yeah, absolute disaster then for the man who's so far pretty much dominated these sessions. And it's Luciano, a bit of experience there in the lead. And yeah, I think it's obviously very tricky out there, even though the sun's shining.
We can hear in the back of our headsets that he has gotten going again, so he can try and chase him down. It's a long race, but anything more than just catching up to the back of the group will be a tall order for this young man. That is drama from the get-go. So who do we have leading? It's Lorenz Luciano, the number 81, but does he? All carefully down towards then. Number 93 down there, that's Brandl. We were focusing on the number 92, who's, oh, stop! So his race is over.
Yeah, it looks like his race is over then. That's a real shame then to not see the pole sitter in this race. But yeah, so it's the 81 and 59. So this is quite an experienced duel then at the front. And it looks like then Górecki has taken the lead, looking a little bit more confident than the Belgian at the moment.
Well, these are the very first laps in these sorts of wet conditions, but it looks like they could be drying already. The sun is out. I mean, it's been very bright. We've had to put some protectors in the commentary box. Might even get a suntan whilst actually commentating on this race. It's rather warm. There are dry patches coming already, so got to be careful with the tyre wear, haven't you, Fran?
Yeah, most definitely. As you can see, I'm leaning forward extremely gracefully to avoid that sun next to you. But yeah, so I think then the conditions are going to get markedly better fairly quickly now. We can't see any more rain on the way, but it is a pretty difficult one to judge, isn't it? But so far, the man judging it best then is Jakub Górecki. He's already made quite a gap on the 81, and we see someone down, two
down at the back there at turn 14. The airbag's gone off. He's not just been down the gym a lot. Oh, dearie me. The number 65 of Boesenkool, the Dutch rider there, down in the gravel
Brandl
out the race.
And Boesenkool then, both down there at the final corner. Oof. They're obviously going to try and rejoin if they can, but certainly if the airbag's gone off, I'm sure he won't be able to quite get back in the race, but that's a shame. And Górecki then at the front, looking very confident. No twitches at all from the number 59, just eking out that gap. But Luciano still in second, pretty solid. It's not like he got overtaken for the lead and then immediately started to plummet a little bit. Obviously still feeling pretty confident, but Górecki just has the edge at the moment. And then we can see more experience here. I think Kitzbichler though, moving past.
Kitzbichler up the inside of the number 6 of Hoszczuk, so that is a pretty good move into turn 7 there, and you can see just how treacherous these conditions could be. Some of them are unable to even get their knee down at the moment. Yeah,
you can really see that. Even if it looks sunny, there's definitely plenty of challenges on the track surface here, and it might take a little while to dry out as well with these thinner tyres and bikes going around.
I'm really enjoying watching these KTM, these Moto3 production sort of KTMs going around there. They're just such different looking things compared to the other Talent Cup machines that we have. But look at this then. So not out of the woods yet, that is for sure. Górecki up front, but the other riders still chasing on his tail.
Yeah, I'm impressed with Kitzbühel so far in this race as well. He is a rider with a little bit more experience. These guys certainly could have expected them to be in that fight, but look, already making a move there. Ooh, no, not quite. Looked pretty keen, but that's also a good sign. If he's not looking too rushed about it, I think he feels pretty confident at the moment, just nicely making his way through. So yeah, it'll be Kotsarek next, and then we'll see if the number 94 can really make some moves on the number 81 in second as well.
Yeah, the Austrian rider last year, well, finished up as the cut in P12 overall. So this sort of progression is the sort of year-on-year progression that we like to see from these riders. That's why they're in the Road to MotoGP program. It's a learning curve for all of them. As they come across the line then, 13 laps to go. Gorecki still out front is the number 59. We're looking at the number 56 of Kotsarek, the Czech rider who finished last year in P7, took a singular pole position last year. And this was a look at the restart then. Are we going to get to see that crash from Rossi more? Because it was just textbook from the get-go until turn 4.
It was a really, really great start there from the number 92, keeping that whole shot. And then disaster.
Oh, just span out too much gas on the rear, mate. And
bit of a heartbreaker there. And we do have as well on our screens confirmation that Rossi is out of this race, and we also have jump starts for 65 and 44. So that's Tibor Varga, and I think it's Bossenkool as well.
Varga on the naughty step for 2 reasons then, isn't he?
Bossenkool is also one of the riders who crashed at the final corner, so his day going from bad to a little bit badder.
So the double long lap penalty for those riders who jumped the start, and here's what happened there then. Well, one rider went down, and then the other one followed them out of sympathy into the gravel as well. Yes. Yeah,
there's obviously a bit of a patch that caught a couple of them out there. Ooh.
That was Bossenkool heading out of the race there. That was Varga just narrowly avoiding him, fortunately. But then, oh, that was after already. Brandel went out of the race, didn't he? So, well, this gap at the front isn't exactly extending too much. 2.7 seconds separate Luciano and Gorecki. Kotsarek just behind them, with Kitzbühel way up the order into 4th place from where he qualified 10th place. So that is some progression already.
Yeah, it really is. I was a little bit surprised by his qualifying. He made some solid progress last year, took some good finishes, and it seemed a little bit strange maybe to see him down there. But of course, new track and everything as well. But it's a really good job then so far from the Austrian in 5th. But he must have had a little bit of an issue because he had, remember, got past those 2 guys and was homing in on 3rd. So we'll have to, or 2nd rather, I think. So yeah, maybe we'll see a replay of that. Or maybe,
was that Kitzbühel nearly sending it the scene? It was!
Maybe that's what we've missed as well. Another one of those. A little bit of a twitch, bit of a warning.
Goodness me. Well, fastest lap so far has gone to Hosjuk, the Romanian rider, 2:06.003. Fastest lap of the race. That's 0.2 of a second quicker than Gorecki out front. So these riders, I mean, in this sort of race with the conditions changing, I mean, will they be able to learn? Oh, number 6 has gone down! Who was that? That's Hosjuk already down, the Romanian.
Straight from that fastest lap then. Disaster for the Romanian. Can he get back in it? Because those guys do have quite a bit of time in hand, certainly, to be able to rejoin and still take points. But we'll have to see then. The Romanian obviously was doing really well to judge the conditions and then just overcooked it a little bit right after that quick lap.
I tell you what, Fran, the graphic came up there as quick as his front wheel went away. That was incredibly impressive. Someone had that at the ready to press go straight away, didn't they? But hey, look who's, and I don't want to jinx it, look who's looking calm, cool, collected and in control. Touch wood, touching my head. Gorecki out front.
Touching your hair, not even your head.
I just missed out the last syllable.
I was going to say, I think your hair is the opposite of wood-like. Here we go then, a replay of the crash for the number 6. Hosjuk just washes out there. Rider immediately up and okay, as you can see, just a bit of a slide for him. But yeah, bad luck then, and straight after setting that fastest lap. So Gorecki then, he had set the fastest lap before it was beaten by Hosjuk, but he's obviously still within his limits at the moment, doing a really, really impressive job at the head of this race. Not too much pressure from behind, but just, yeah, keeping it nice and smooth. Although you can see that gap's come down a little bit, it's still by no means sort of emergency gas it too far. He's doing a great job. And Luciano as well, we've not mentioned him for a little bit, in 2nd. Solid job from the number 81. And yeah, Kotsarek as well. The JRT Brno guys really pulling their experience out of the bag today. Yeah, those guys had a pretty good run out last time, didn't they, as well? I think it was Kotsarek who finished up got a pole position in Hockenheim, if I look rightly. And also, fun fact, as we found out from our good close friend, our Czech photographer friend Junior,
Correct. And what is the translation of Kotzorek, Fran?
I believe a Kotzorek, you meant to say the I think, in the middle to be perfectly native. I believe it's a male kitten.
What a factoid.
So it's a great name.
So you don't just learn about the racing here in the Northern Talent Cup, you get language lessons as well. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoy it. Meanwhile, the best race lap has now gone to Luciano. So he is on the chase, well and truly. That time around, 1.2 seconds quicker than Gorecki out front. So he is learning and learning. But is he learning quicker than the conditions are changing out there? Because looking at the weather stations we have outside of our commentary box on the pit wall, it is a little bit windy. And with the sun out, this place dries very, very quickly. I was reading Twitter through before we came on air, Fran, and the media debriefs of the MotoGP riders going on. Valentino Rossi said, well, the race is 42 minutes long, and I think we have 3 different types of conditions out there in the 42 minutes we were qualifying and have free practice. It's a long race to go yet.
Yeah, it very much is. Like you say, the conditions will be changing, and these guys have got to constantly adapt to that. Every new lap is a new challenge, but Gorecki at the moment rising to that, and Luciano, like you said, is gaining a bit of ground on the race leader. But yeah, Gorecki then, we have seen really impressive form from him last year, but he started the season with really terrible luck. And I think he had a couple of mechanicals in the first weekend. It was a bit of a heartbreaker. So it's good to see him back to his front running ways. But yeah, you can see now then, 2.2 seconds was the gap last time around. That's quite a significant chunk come off it. But yeah, you can see there the 81 visually closer on your screens. But Gorecki, I think, has looked really solid. I don't think he'll be too worried by getting some company in the race lead at this stage, certainly. Well,
let's see how he deals with the pressure. We did get images of Rossi Moore in pit lane. He has succumbed to the pressure, clearly, in coming out of turn 4 there. Too much gas at the rear wheel. Back in, having a debrief now, but hey, gets another whack at it tomorrow. Another race. This is all part of the process, and let's not forget, he's a rookie in this category. He might be a national and international champion in mini bike racing, but this is a different ball game. That next step up, and he gets another opportunity at it tomorrow. So keep your chin up, young Rossi Moore.
For sure, yeah. I'm sure he'll be back with some more pace tomorrow. But as you can see, speaking of pace, smooth segue, on your screens there, Luciano, new best race lap. And that gap, you can see on your screens it's come down, but it's come down by an awful lot. It's now under a second last time over the line. I wouldn't be surprised if it's even less than that now. The Belgian really got the bit between his teeth now. It seems to be getting more and more comfortable and just reeling in our race leader, Jakub Gorecki.
Belgium versus the Czech Republic in the Northern Talent Cup. This is what it's all about. They come around Museum Corner, turn 7 there, and on the run down towards turn 8. And with that, how much he's catching him sector by sector, lap by lap. I do wonder, Fran, well, just how far back will he make a lunge if he's close enough?
Yeah, that's it. Just hopefully it'll be a nice, calm and collected, kind of zoning in on it and thinking about it and making a nice, clean pass to the lead. You can see there then Gorecki having a look.
He could probably hear the engine in his background,
he'll probably be getting more and more aware that he has company, and certainly after that big look over his shoulder, he knows the 81 is there, and it's great as well. I love that Junior Black Knights team livery. It's quite foreboding as it kind of reels in the meters behind him. So this could turn into an interesting duel then, because as well, if Luciano takes the lead and is feeling better, he could prove a useful marker for Gorecki as well.
Yeah, exactly. We could have these two almost working together, like in a bit of a mini qualifying session, putting some daylight between themselves and Kotzorek in 3rd place there as well. So as we look at these guys, is Luciano going to take a move at the inside? No, not that time, but did take a bit of a look, foot out, so clearly he was going a little bit beyond his limit, or very close to it, I should say. They come across the start and finish straight to click down 9 laps to go, and that was another fastest lap of the race so far, a 2:02 now from Luciano.
Yeah, that's impressive stuff then. The Belgians really got the bit between his teeth. And a new best race lap once again, like you can see on your screens, 2:02.5. So half a second quicker than the man ahead of him. And he's really looking a bit impatient now, isn't he? I wonder when the move will come.
Could it come down towards through turn 5 and in towards turn 6? No, because he's taken a wider line there. Or is it taken too much of a wider line? The rear stepped out there. The front wheel got crossed a little bit wide there. Definitely turned left to go right a little bit, Lightning McQueen style. So the no move down into turn 6 that time around. But what about turn 7? He's going for it. He's going for it. The rear wheel stepping out. This is almost a last corner type move. That got a lunge. Going to start calling him.
I was going to say there's no need. Lungy. Yeah. Is that what you're going to say?
Lungiano.
Oh dear. So yeah, that was Yes, pretty optimistic there. I think a little more patience required here. We've seen, obviously, the Belgian has some really, really impressive pace in these conditions, but just a couple of twitches there. Maybe just needs to collect himself a little bit, take a few deep breaths, stay calm, and yeah, home back in on his target. And he seems to have done that again now. You can see him tucked in. But Gorecki, though, doesn't seem too bothered by the company that he's now got fighting for the race lead. Still nice and calm and collected from the number 59.
One of the things, of course, the coaches, the rider coaches and the staff here at the Northern Talent Cup will be looking as the move is made from Luciano is just how well these guys sort of cope with that pressure. Do they mess each other around, get into all sorts of antics that they don't really need to be doing 9 laps to go? Will they sit behind each other? That move that time around from Luciano was very, very clean as they come into these final corners. Looks like he will lead over the line to click with 8 laps to go then, near enough half race distance.
Yeah, so the first time then he'll lead over the line. That was really nice move, that, nice and clean, nothing too leery after we'd seen a couple of moments of just be careful, since we've seen already a few fast riders come a cropper in these difficult conditions. But it'd be interesting now, I think, that he's not got anyone ahead of him to see what he can do. There's a new best race lap once again from the Belgian, a few tenths quicker than he was last time around. And I think it'll also be interesting to see if Gorecki can stay with him, and like I said before, just use him as a bit of a marker. Yeah,
that would definitely be the most sensible thing to do, wouldn't it? So whilst we have these two at it up front, let's take a bit more stock of who we've got, who's where, any big major improvements. Kutzerek in 3rd place still from Kitzbichler, the German in 4th place, still holding firm there. He's got a 10-second gap back to Beekmans, the Dutch rider there. Very, very impressive. So yes, and then behind Beekmans, who have we got? Famara, the Swiss.
Yep, and then Noel Willemsen, Dustin Schneider and Jordan Bartuga, who was allowed to line up after he crashed in qualifying.
Starting from last
so,
as
yeah,
well.
He's done a really, really good job. Shout out to him, so good stuff. I must correct you there, Kitzbichler, Austrian.
Oh, Austrian, my apologies, read the wrong name. Yes, yeah, looking down the various European names. German-speaking, I should refer to most of them. That'll be more accurate, and it's like casting a bigger net, isn't it, really?
But yeah, really good job, though, like we said, from Jordan Bartuga. So yeah, really some good performances here, but the conditions just making it a little bit difficult for them to create that classic group that we so often see in Talent Cup problems. But yeah, Kutzerek, like we said, on his own a little bit, currently on for 3rd place. But these guys, though, back to this fight at the front, Gorecki's not been dropped. Still not much to choose between them, which I think is a very good sign.
Yeah, really, really good sign for them. This is super valuable experience for these guys, fighting for a win already in this such big stage in comparison to what they might have been used to from last year's Cup. This time actually racing in front of the entire MotoGP paddock, showing what they can do best, handling that pressure. They come across the line then, and the gap between them is only 4/10 of a second. Gorecki well in touch with Luciano. And also, yes, as you mentioned, Bartuga did have a big crash at the start of the weekend. We only confirmed that he could actually line up on the grid fairly late on, wasn't it?
He wasn't on the first grid, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Fortunately, only broke the bike and not himself.
Yes, exactly. It was right at the start of qualifying. Our journalist Esther, who sends us plenty of updates, she said he was very heartbroken by that, but he is really making amends now the lights have gone out. Really impressive stuff from him inside the top 10. And there you can see then the helpful Austrian flag on the front of the bike as well. I'm sorry.
From Innsbruck in Austria. I've been to Innsbruck, lovely place.
It is a beautiful place.
Yeah, it really is. Well, much of Austria is, to be fair.
It is, and it's a beautiful bike as well. Big fan of that. There's some great liveries in the NTC.
Yeah.
But speaking of lively, I don't know, I tried to go for a segue. Another best race lap then from Luciano in the lead. But Gorecki, he's really, really tagged onto the back of him.
Really not letting him get away, is he? And even managing to close in on some of the bigger braking zones, like there.
Exactly, yeah. I was just thinking, he seems a little bit closer than he had been initially. Maybe we'll see a move soon, or maybe he is content to just sit there and let the 81 do the work a little bit, because they do have quite a gap back to Kutzerek in 3rd, so there's like 5.5 seconds they've got in hand. So there's really no rush to make a move when we've got sort of 7 laps to go. But yeah, certainly looks like we're going to have a duel to the line, barring any real drama.
Yeah, we really could, and it doesn't look like it's too much of a gap of a battle for 3rd place. So Kutzerek can definitely sit happy I was going to say as happy as a male kitten, but that doesn't really work at all.
That famous English language idiom.
There's no idioms, unfortunately, that relate to kittens.
There isn't,
sadly.
but it's a great language fact. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, superb stuff. Speaking of sensational names that we have here in the Northern Talent Cup as well, we do have Julius Caesar racing. So
Julius Caesar
welcome back.
It's a great name that as well. Fantastic.
Julius Caesar, what a name. Wasn't Julius Caesar one of the 3 people that Franco Morbidelli would like to have dinner with?
Are you spoiling the MotoGP podcast on an NTC race broadcast? He was indeed, yeah. Who was it? It was Caesar.
So Charlie Chaplin
and
Slash, yeah. So maybe he just meant Northern Talent Cup rider Julius Caesar.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, it would pose an interesting dynamic, wouldn't it? Look at the difference in lines between the leading duo.
He's
then
not trying
Goretzky
that, surely.
and Luciano, no. Just sort of a real wide variety in line, and why not? If you have the time to be able to test this sort of thing, then absolutely why not? Meanwhile, we're looking at Beekmans versus Famara here, the battle for 5th. So whilst I said that the battle for 3rd is all but lost for anybody else other than Kocurek, then at least the battle for 4th is between these two, still to be hotly contested.
I think it's 5th, is it?
Sorry, apologies.
It's the battle for 5th. So yeah,
this is Kitzbühel well ahead.
Exactly,
in
he's in his own little zone there. Got a few seconds behind to these guys and a few seconds ahead to Kocurek. So he can pretty much guarantee he's on for his best finish if all goes well from here on out. But yeah, those guys then having their own duel to complete the top 5. Good stuff from Famara, the Swiss rider, getting the upper hand on a bit more experience there. So impressive performance first time out, and impressive performance first time out definitely applies to these two. You can see Goretzky, I think he looks a little bit more impatient now. He has done for a couple of laps, but he's really maybe trying to just pile on a little bit more pressure.
Yeah, I was thinking this is a real sort of mature ride from both of the riders at the moment. I mean, whatever happens hereafter with 6 laps to go, maybe there's a bit of a mistake or something like that. I think they can hold their heads high with whatever happens here, because this is a superb ride for the both. They're actually coming round to navigate their way past a lapped rider. I think that would be Mulik, would it not?
Very
yes, the number
possibly.
7.
Nice and early out the way as well. That's
yes,
good to see.
It is the number 7. So then, yes, Mateusz Mulik, the Polish rider, number 14. And but I was going to give a little bit more context to some of these guys, because I'm pretty aware a lot of people might not have been actually watching the Northern Talent Cup last year. But Goretzky, who's in 2nd place at the moment, did actually a pole position to his name a couple of times from last year, Sachsenring and the Lausitzring. Took a victory in Lausitzring, and also is the last race winner we had from last year as well, if I'm not mistaken, in Brno. As we see, Jordan Bartuka's gone down at turn 6.
I was going to say, I'd seen his name go down the timing screen, well, the standings a little bit, and I was worried after, obviously we were singing his praises, maybe a bit of a commentary curse for them, but still, he is another who can hold his head high from that real gain that he made from, unfortunately, that qualifying crash. So good pace for him to build on for tomorrow, at least the number 2.
Yes,
but,
absolutely. Well, is this? Oh no, this is not what happened. This is the final corner.
Of the leaders then.
Yeah, Luciano. But yes, so Goretzky, a couple of wins last season, especially the last winner, in fact, that we had at the final round in Brno. But then, meanwhile, Luciano Lorenz, sort of the consistent chap of the cup. Just the 2 podiums. One of them was 3 podiums. One of which was a win. Another one was 2 third places.
Yeah, he was very much sort of. I mean, Summer Gerber as well. He took some race wins towards the end of the year, like those 3 in a row. But he was very much. I don't know, the 2 of them just seemed like the more experienced, measured, where they just sit in that front group and, more about the tactics and playing their cards right, much like we may be seeing here as well. But obviously Goretzky then taking the lead back.
Yeah, taking the lead back, but it will be far from over, that's for sure. Luciano just dropping back by maybe a few bike lengths.
I'm not so sure. I think maybe Goretzky's thought, okay, I've got you now.
Could do, yeah. Interestingly enough, well, 4 laps to go as they cross the line this time around. So this is normally about the time where these the real atmosphere and the tone of these races start to change, because the guys who are in it for the win start to think, I really need to get a wriggle on here and actually make the move. And unlike perhaps the Asia Talent Cup that we were commentating on in Qatar, the massive freight train train of riders. We got a little battle royale here, a duel between two very, very competent riders indeed. Belgium versus the Czech Republic. Here's a replay of what happened coming down to the Shimano Buff S's. And a great little slipstream move and just outbraking round the outside.
Around the outside, lovely. Really nice move that. Super confident and no twitches or any drama there at all. So yeah, new race leader. You can see then there's a bit more of a gap than we saw before he made that move.
Yeah,
and he was also, Gorecki last time around, under the 2-minute barrier. So maybe just feeling he's got his confidence again in these conditions. He did do much of the early leg work, remember, in the lead, so wasn't afraid to lead then. And doesn't seem afraid to lead now either. We'll have to see, though, what Lawrence Luciano has in his pocket to bring out now.
I wonder whether, with these the drying surface of the track, maybe his tyres are perhaps a bit worse for wear at this stage in the game. Entirely possible. So what are they looking like? The gap is sort of staying at about 6 tenths, approaching 7 tenths of a second as we click through the various sectors. They're coming up on another lapped rider. I think that is Olofsson, is it not? Yes, the number 19.
Yep, so again, good responses to blue flags there from those guys. Not interfering too much with the race at all. And I think there must have been maybe a moment, or maybe just struggling a little bit with tyres in the latter stages, but it looks like Kitzbühel has actually lost out now on that 4th place.
Wow, how about it then? So that's yes.
So Lennox Famara then, really impressive ride from the Swiss rider. And yeah, he looks like he's taken that 4th place.
Goodness me, that is impressive then, because that was a pretty substantial gap at some point.
Yeah, it was a few seconds at least, so not sure exactly what's happened there, but we know what's happened here, and that is a new fastest lap. And again, wow, a 1:59.1 that time from Gorecki.
Luciano has responded though, dipping into the 1:59s, but a 1:59.4 won't be enough if he wants to chase down the Czech rider.
Yeah, it won't be. And there you see Jonas Kucharek just getting a little bit of screen time. Really solid job for him in 3rd place.
There is
and here is then, yes, so Lennox Famara, the Swiss rider, he's taken that 4th place then. Really, really impressive stuff. I have to see if Kitzbühel can respond. But yes, some people then finding their feet a lot more as it dries out, and others having really shown the edge in the earlier, wetter conditions.
Yeah, and also good to see Dustin Schneider move up from the row 4 of the grid, because although he was on the first grid due to be in row 5, moved up from row 4 towards 6th position, so good stuff from the number 20.
Yeah, it was quite there's a couple of duels now on the timing screens as people are coming together a little bit. So Noel Willemsen, though, is another rider who's still in a little bit of
shortcut of turns 3 and 4, long lap penalty.
Oh, that's why we're seeing him then. I was just going to say, solid job from the number 77, but that's obviously had a bit of an excursion there then and got to do that long lap.
And then, as you can see there, that looks like a very familiar livery. Indeed it is, because it's the Proust LGP Junior team that Willemsen rides for.
Yes, it is indeed. Fairly familiar colours there.
Alongside the likes of Jason DePasquier and Ryusa Yamanaka in the Moto3 World Championship.
Yep, and they won races last year in the NTC as well with Heinrich. So definitely the team knows what they're doing at the sharp end up here.
And here is the long lap penalty being taken then, so...
At least he's seen it quickly. It's always a worry with these guys with a little bit less experience than some of them in the Grand Prix classes, whether they'll see that board and be able to take it in time. But
now,
here,
what did we say? What did we say?
It's not over. You got it right.
It's not over. Belgium versus the Czech Republic. Luciano has responded, maybe just needed a couple of laps to just save his tyres a little bit more or something like that, catch his breath perhaps, refocus, realign, and look at that, going a little bit wide is Gorecki into turns 3 and 4 there. But this is, the battle is on. 7 tenths of a second quicker that time around. What?
This is a real seesaw. There he goes then, trying to take the lead.
No, he gets it back.
That's a great little exchange then. It looks like the race really is on to the line then between these guys. We are going to have a duel to the finish to open the NTC.
Brilliant. Can't complain about that. Another move from Luciano into turn 7 then. But does he run wide once again? Gorecki looking up the inside. Can he make up the drive down towards turns 8 and 9? This is the Garage Vert section of the track. Sort of a double apex. Pretty much one corner. You treat it as one. But, oh, and they're getting very, very close there on the exit of it, and now it's about that run up towards the Shimano Buffesses.
Yeah, it is. So we seem to have a real duel then. Are they where? It's not quite the last lap yet. We've still got one more to go, but great racing then, some switching and changing. But yeah, Luciano obviously fairly confident that he can maybe try and pull out that gap. Like we said, 7/10 he cut it down by to take the lead again. But Gorecki definitely still in this one, and they are going to be neck and neck over the line.
What a way to start the Northern Talent Cup for 2021. A battle to the finish between the two main contenders of the race. They've got to navigate their way around the number 65. That's Damien Bursencourt, who actually crashed but then rejoined. Did you know? Yes. No.
Yep, and
jump
he had
start and
double long
lap
lap
penalty.
as well,
Goodness
yeah.
me. So there you are. But coming round the final corner then of this penultimate lap to begin the final one then. It's a head-to-head that we have here at the first race of 2021. Who's your pick, Fran?
My pick is the 81 or the 59.
Oh, excellent choice then. So this is one of the main overtaking opportunities in towards turn 1, turn 2, and then towards turn 3 and 4. Who's going to break the latest? Different choice in line for the Belgian and the Czech rider, but Gorecki definitely had the run on in there, that's for sure. But last time around, Luciano was much better in towards turn 6.
Yeah, he was. It's going to get interesting, this one, I think. But yeah, like you said, Gorecki there pulled out a few meters, but Luciano already seems to be able to reel him back in a little bit. So I really don't know which way to call it.
Well, me neither, because Gorecki absolutely nailed turn 6 that time around. What about turn 7? Any kind of moves up the inside? No, I think it's about time. Luciano has to really just slot in his slipstream, just watch what he's doing. I hope he's maybe done a dress rehearsal to try and make some kind of move, perhaps out of the Shimano Buffesses towards the stadium section.
Yeah, very much a possibility. He seems to be getting closer. He's not close
He's
enough
making a
already.
move. He's making a move. He's going for it, but will it be too much? Yes, it is too much. He's